When we talk about special education, we're talking about a program that the United States government created in 1975. Special ed was created when I was about 1 year old. I'm a '74 baby. And it was created not to help kids with learning disabilities. It was created to separate black kids from the white ones. Special ed was the resegregation law. In 1954, the United States Supreme Court said you cannot use race as a factor in education. 1964, 10 years later, Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. Most schools in America were still racially segregated. 10 years later, 1974, the year I was born, most schools in America were still racially segregated. The United States government said we got to do something about this. Not because we care about black children, but it makes us look hypocritical when we go to other countries and tell them how to treat their people, when we're not doing a good job with our own. So a psychologist in Chicago came up with a new diagnosis called the learning disability. And for the first time, a child with no obvious problem could be separated from the regular class and put in special ed. Not because he had a real disability, but just because somebody believed that he had one. What I need you all to understand when we talk about the learning disability, when we talk about ADHD, when we talk about conduct disorder, when we talk about emotional disturbance, when we talk about disruptive behavior disorder, we're not talking about a real disability that you can prove. We're simply talking about somebody's professional opinion. I need you guys to understand something, black family. Cleveland, I need you to get it when I say that the learning disability is a professional opinion. ADHD is a professional opinion. Conduct disorder is a professional opinion. Mild mental retardation is a professional opinion. I had a parent ask me the other day, Dr. Johnson, do you really believe that special ed is no good for any child? I never said that. You got a child who's blind, they're going to need a special education. You got a child who's deaf, they're going to need a special education. You have a child with a speech impairment, they're going to need speech and language therapy. You have a child with a traumatic brain injury or a child with an orthopedic impairment, they're going to need some kind of special help. But I'm not talking about the blind children. I'm not talking about the deaf children. I'm not talking about the speech and language impaired. I'm not talking about the true autistic black child. I'm not talking about them. Most of our kids in special ed are not in there for being blind, deaf, traumatic brain injury, autism. They're in there for the so-called learning disability. They're in there for ADHD, ain't no daddy at home disorder. And why do we call ADHD ain't no daddy at home disorder? We call it that because 85% of my little brothers in Ohio diagnosed with ADHD, taking Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Cycler, Prozac, Paxil, Risperdal, Depakote, and Vyvanse. 85% of them don't have a father in their life. Is this really about a psychiatric illness? Or is it about a war against black men that sends the father to jail and then leaves the son at home with his mother to be raised in a one-parent household? Your son don't have ADHD. He has ain't no daddy at home. Now some of you are going to say, my son's father is home. So what do you got to say about that? I'll tell you what I got to say about that. If the father is home, then the father ain't on his job, and now it's ain't no discipline at home disorder. So then you say, the father is home, and the father is on his job, Dr. Umar. Now what you got to say? Well, if it ain't no daddy at home disorder, and if it ain't no discipline at home disorder, the daddy there, the mommy there, the daddy doing the discipline, guess what it becomes now? It becomes an attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. In other words, a lot of our children go to school and can't sit still or pay attention, not because of ADHD, but they live in a house that functions like a holy hell. They live in a house where mommy and daddy argue all day long. They live in a house where they're being verbally abused, sexually abused, physically abused, psychologically abused. They live in a house where mother don't spend enough time with daughter and daddy don't spend enough time with his son. They live in a house where they are not the priority. There's nothing worse than for an African child to live in a home where they are not the priority. Now, all of us here are parents. Ask yourself a question. Is my child or children the priority in my home? Or is it your career? Is it your spouse? Is it your boyfriend? Is it your fraternity? Is it your Masonic lodge? And guess what, conscious community? For some of you, your priority is the conscious community and not your own damn children. We think that because we neglected our kids for the struggle, it's acceptable. Because I'm neglecting my children to help improve the condition of black folks, it's acceptable. No, it's not. Child neglect is child neglect. I don't care what the cause is. I know the community is calling on you, but you have to make time in your schedule to spend time with your babies. Because if not, they'll grow up with all kinds of psychological issues, and we don't need that. Parents, stop signing permission for your children to be tested. Why is Cleveland, Brooklyn, DC, Baltimore, LA, Houston, everywhere I go, Nebraska tomorrow, Tennessee Wednesday, Texas Friday, Minnesota Saturday, and I'll be back here in Ohio on Monday, Kent State University for the Black History program. That's a 7 o'clock program, Kent State University. Stop giving permission for your children to be tested when you know what the real problem is. For many of you, your son, your daughter, they don't have a learning disability. They have a sloppy and lazy as hell black child disability. That's right. 85% of the children I evaluate don't have nothing wrong with them. The problem is they don't care about learning. And guess what you did, Cleveland, a couple weeks ago for Christmas? You went out and you bought your child gifts, your son and your daughter. You bought them HD TVs, video games, cell phones, laptops, tablets. You know what you just did? You invested in your son's future incarceration. You invested in your son's future incarceration. What do you mean by that? I can't buy my son a gift? Yes, but you can't buy him a gift that's going to take him away from focusing on his academics. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, before there was internet and cell phone and HD TV and laptop, many of us made our own fun by reading. Reading was what we did. I grew up loving books. Reading was my entertainment. We have allowed the white man to come in and substitute reading as the primary form of entertainment for children and have given them electronic gadgets. So how much time does your son spend playing video games a week? How much time does your daughter spend surfing the internet? How much time does your grandchildren spend on that HD TV? How much time they spend listening to music on that iPad, that iPhone? Now, how much time do they spend practicing their math? How much time do they spend practicing their reading? How much time do they spend practicing their writing? In other words, your house, if you're not raising independent, educated African children, your house, Cleveland, is a slave factory. Some of you are raising slaves for Massa's plantation. Yes. What is the number one responsibility of a black parent? Your job is to teach discipline. If you're raising a black boy, you have to teach him discipline. Daughter as well. But with your sons, it is critical. What is discipline? What is Dr. Umar's definition of discipline? The ability to do what you don't feel like doing when it gotta be done, whether you like it or not. Does your son, does your daughter have the ability to do what they don't want to do because it got to be done, whether they like it or not? Most of our kids don't have that because you never taught it. Some of your children know nothing about delaying gratification. Some of you think you're doing them a favor by spoiling them. Black fathers, spoiling your daughter. She'll be no good to anybody's son when she grows up. You mothers, spoiling your sons. He'll be no good to anybody's daughter when he grows up. Why do you make a black child think they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth? Don't you understand your child has to work 3 times as hard to get half as much? And you raising them with the idea that they're gonna have it easy because they happen to be yours. Big mistake you're making. That's why special education is so popular, because y'all so lazy. You letting people evaluate your kindergartner. What the hell is a kindergartner being tested for special ed for? Your first grade son is diagnosed with a reading disability at 7 years old. How the hell are you gonna have a reading disability you just started learning how to?
Come on.
I hate it whenever I'm given an evaluation for a kid below the 4th grade. I hate it. And I'm upset, not at the system, but at you. Why did this black parent give permission for a 7, 8, 9-year-old child to be tested for a glow-in-the-dark, cannot be proven learning disability? Why is your 6-year-old on Ritalin and Vyvanse? Don't you know these drugs are nothing but synthesized crack? Ritalin and Concerta is only 1 molecule away from cocaine.
Yep.
But then again, table sugar is also only 1 molecule away from cocaine. We talk about crack addicts. We don't consider the sugar addicts as crack addicts. Half of y'all addicted to sugar. Look at you, you start twitching. What's the first thing I tell a parent if you think your son got ADHD? Put him on a sugar fast. Cut out the caffeine, cut out the high fructose corn syrup, cut out the table sugar for 3 months. And then see what happens. Now first he's going to get worse because he's going through the withdrawal of addiction. But the problem with a sugar fast for most black parents is you ain't got the discipline to go without. See, we keep talking about where did our kids come from. I'm getting sick and tired of black folks talking about what happened to him. You is what happened to them. They came from your ass. You messed these kids up. Every last one of us had a hand in it. You don't want to take responsibility for your own handiwork. Parents, stop getting the kids tested below 5th grade. Even if they're in the 5th grade or above, if you can afford it, get your own private school psychologist to evaluate your child. Why? Because you get what you pay for. If you let the school district test your child, I want you to understand something. A psychological evaluation in Cleveland Public School is no different than a criminal proceeding in Cleveland City Courts. Stay with me. When you get locked up and they bring you in for your arraignment, the purpose of the arraignment is to give the perception of a free and impartial due process hearing, correct? But before you showed up to court, the judge, the prosecutor, and the public pretender already met before you showed up. Am I wrong? Now it looks like you're about to get a fair and impartial hearing. But they didn't already met and determined what they was going to do with you before you even showed up. Well, guess what? The psychological evaluation is the same way. Before you even sign permission for Raheem to be tested, the principal, prosecutor, teacher, public pretender, and the school psychologist, the judge, already met before you gave permission and decided what they were going to do with your son or daughter before you even gave the okay. Listen, we want to get Raheem tested because we think he might have a learning disability. They already told you that we've made up our mind about your son. All those little fancy tests that I do, that's nothing. That's just to give the impression of fair play. They already made up their mind. All they needed you to do was give them permission by signing your damn name, and y'all sign your name so fast. In fact, the black parent is the only parent who will sign their damn name before you even read what's on the paper. You run into school, can you sign this for me, Mr. Thompson? Sure, I'll sign where at? You didn't even read it. How many of you mothers do that? And I know why you do it, because you're in a rush, you gotta get to work, you can't be late, but you can't afford to be not reading. The school is not on your side. The school is an extension of the prison industrial complex, and the teachers are the new probation officers, and what you say can and will be used against you and your children. What am I talking about, single black mother? I'm talking about you went to school last week crying to the teacher. You made me come pick Raheem up early from school for the third time this week. My boss told me that if I take an early day again, I might lose my job. His father just got locked up last week. I'm raising all 4 of these kids on my own. I can't afford to keep coming up here. Please work with me, Miss Serbinsky. And Miss Serbinsky act like she cares about you so much. Don't she be like, oh, I feel for you. Oh my God. My husband and I have 4 children as well. I can't even fathom what life would be like if he got incarcerated yesterday. And you start thinking she give a damn about you because she playing an empathy game. And guess what Miss Serbinsky gonna do the minute you walk out? She's gonna run to the principal. Okay? Mr. Goldberg. And she's going to tell Mr. Goldberg that Raheem's mother told me that the daddy got arrested last week, that she's about to lose her job. You just gave them the tools they needed to force you to put your son on special ed and on drugs. Guess what they're going to do now? Are they going to call you even less, or are they going to call you more? They're going to call you more, because you just told them that you're being put in a position where you're either going to have to put your son on medicine or lose your damn job. Stop telling the school your business. This is the big issue I have with y'all. The school is not on your side. And guess what else you better stop doing, Cleveland? Stop letting the school counselor provide counseling to your child. Because the school counselor is an expert in destroying black families. They will ask your child who's living in that house. Do you smell marijuana? Does your mother drink? How many different men been in your house in the past? Nothing to do with the problem. They're supposed to talk to your child about bullying, but they all in your damn bedroom. They ain't said nothing about bullying yet. So if your child needs counseling, and some of our children do, get your own. The school says we would like to do some counseling with Raheem. You know what you should say? I thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to get my own private counselor to meet with my son. Thank you very much. And then the school is going to say, can you sign this release of information form, please? So we can talk to Raheem's counselor? Why in the hell would a black parent give white people the right to talk to their child's therapist behind your back? But some of y'all sign the damn paper. You don't ever give white folks a release of information about your child. Can you sign this so we can talk to the pediatrician? Can you sign this so we can talk to the caseworker? Hell no. If there's anything you need to know about my son, I will tell you. Y'all have to stop being so free with your personal information. And for my parents whose kids are already in special ed, it's not over. That IEP team, that incarceration education plan team, You know what their job is, right? What's the job? Let me give y'all the process. Somebody say your child got a learning problem. You sign permission. They send your son to me. I got to evaluate him to see if he got one of these 13 special ed disabilities. What are they? Mental retardation, autism, deafness, blindness, traumatic brain injury, speech and language impairment, mental retardation, emotional disturbance, learning disability, other health impairment for ADHD. I diagnosed Raheem with a learning disability, or emotional disturbance, or ADHD for other health impairment, or mild mental retardation. I then give my report to who? The IEP team. Psychologist gives their report to the IEP team. The IEP team has 3 responsibilities, parents. Number 1, come up with the program that your child is going to be learning while they're in special ed. Come up with the program that your child is going to be learning. For example, Shaquita has a math disability. If Shaquita got a math disability, she should only be in special ed for what class? And if Raheem got a reading disability, he should only be in special ed for what class? So why is Raheem and Shaquita in special ed all damn day? Lunch, recess, class trip. They in special ed from the time they show up to the time they go home. That is a violation of the law. The law says a child cannot be in special ed for 1 second longer than what is absolutely necessary in order for them to learn. So you telling me, Dr. Umar, that my daughter should only be in special ed for math if she only has a math disability? That's the only class she could be in. Legally, they're breaking the law if she's in there for anything else. But most black kids in Cleveland in special ed all damn day. You know how I know? Because I know why they put them in special ed. And it wasn't for learning, it was for behavior. The white teachers in Cleveland can't stand your damn sons, don't want to be bothered with them, so they use you to put them in special ed to get them the hell out of their life. Well, I don't agree with you, Dr. Umar. I don't think all white teachers are racist. Because you know we got that problem amongst black folks too. We try to act like we don't know racism is racism. Well, let's say she's not a racist. She still don't give a damn about black kids. Why? Because she's not a natural stakeholder in the success of a black child. In my opinion, if you do not suffer, if my child does not learn, you shouldn't be teaching them.
Right.
But let me tell you why you got so many white teachers in Cleveland. You know why? Because the economy is bad. White folks are getting laid off. And every white person in Ohio knows the quickest way to get your bills paid is to get an emergency teaching cert so you can go and help the poor black kids in the ghetto. They're not teaching because they care. Half the teachers in Cleveland ain't certified, didn't go to school for education. They came from Wall Street, got fired, came from Walmart, got fired, came from Ford and got fired. And because they got a mortgage to pay, they decided to come to Cleveland because white privilege dictates that they can work with black kids even if they don't know what the hell they doing. And if you ever wondered why the good white teachers aren't around after 5 years, you ever notice after 5 years the good white teachers disappear? Why all the good white teachers in Cleveland are suddenly nowhere to be found after 5 years? Because they got a United States Department of Education student loan forgiveness grant that says if you go into the ghetto and work with those disadvantaged, at-risk black kids for 5 years, Obama will satisfy 20% of your student loans. So your first year will knock off 20%, your second year, 40%, third year, 60%, fourth year, 80%, fifth year, all your loans are forgiven. And they use black kids to pay it off. And the minute that 5 years is up, they go right to the suburb and get a quote-unquote real job. You thought they was there because they cared about black kids. They was there to get their ghetto stripes. And don't get me wrong, it's not all white folk. I know Negroes who don't mean no damn good to our kids in the public school. I know some black principals who are damn near trifling, absolutely trifling, come from the same ghetto as the kids they teaching. and don't give a damn about him no more. The IEP team has 3 responsibilities. 1, what is Raheem going to learn while he's in special ed for his reading disability? What is Shaquita going to learn while she's in special ed for a math disability? That's the first responsibility. Come up with the learning program. What's the second responsibility? Decide where. Decide where. Decide where that child is going to receive their special ed. So I say Raheem got a reading disability. Now that's the program. This is what he's going to learn. These are the goals. These are the objectives. These are the strategies that the special ed teacher is going to work on with Raheem when she takes him from the class for 45 minutes a day. That's the program. Now we got to decide where's she going to do it. Does he stay in the regular class? Does he go to the special class? Does he go to a private school? Does he get put on homebound instruction where he stays home and the teacher comes to the house and teaches the child? Some of y'all don't know this, but did you know your child does not have to leave the regular class to receive this special ed? Special ed is not a place. Special ed is a program. But in Cleveland, special ed is a place. Why is it a place in Cleveland, but it's a program in white neighborhoods? Because the only reason why they put the black kid in special ed is to get his ass out my class. And I need you parents to know that whenever you disagree with the evaluation that is done on your child, you have a right to a second opinion. You have a right. If you don't agree, you write a letter to the principal. Dr. Johnson, I've received the evaluation on my son Jaquan. According to your psychologist, my son has mild mental retardation. I don't believe he has mild mental retardation. I believe that the IQ test was biased, and I further believe that the poor education Cleveland Public Schools has given my son is the reason why he didn't score what he should have. I am now requesting an independent educational evaluation to get a second opinion because I disagree with your school district. And then what happens? They give you a list of school psychologists that you choose from to reevaluate your child. The school district pays it. You don't pay a penny. It's free. I'm going to say it again. You have a right to a second free opinion. So don't tell me there's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do. And if your child is in special ed and you don't think your child can learn, you put him in special ed in the 3rd grade, he's in the 8th grade, still can't read, then we can make Cleveland Public Schools pay for your son to go to a private school at district expense. I help parents do it every day, but you gotta have your paperwork together. And the problem with black parents, most of you are disorganized when it comes to your children's academics. I say, send me all his evaluations. I don't have them. Send me all the IEPs. I don't know where they are. Send me all the suspension notices. I don't know what I did with them. If you are not organized, your child will suffer. The worst thing for a black child to have in America is a teacher who don't care and a parent who couldn't care less. And a lot of our kids in Cleveland have a teacher who don't care and a parent who couldn't care less. Which is why I say if it was up to me, Ohio, I wouldn't diagnose the child. I don't think we should ever diagnose the child. He not learning disabled, the parent learning disabled. He not ADHD, the parent is ADHD. He ain't retarded, the damn parents is retarded. Don't diagnose the child, diagnose the house that they come from. And guess what I found? I found out my pre-doctoral dissertation was on a relationship between black kids' self-esteem and their academic proficiency. I'm gonna say this one more time. My research was on a relationship between how your child feels about themselves and how well they do in school. And we found out that there was a relationship between how the child feels and how they do. So let me ask you a question, Cleveland. If a black child's self-esteem is predictive of their academic outcome, and if that black child goes to a school where a racist white teacher disrespects and disregards them on the regular, is it possible that the reason your children in Cleveland are not achieving is because the racially hostile environment in which they forced to live is damaging to their self-esteem? The reason your son is having trouble in Cleveland ain't got nothing to do with him. He not the problem. It's the system he's forced to survive in. Listen, 93% of all the teachers in Cleveland are female. Your boy is not a female. He's a man. But when your masculine child doesn't know how to adopt the stereotypical behaviors of a white girl student, he's considered to be disordered. Boys are expected to act like girls, and when they can't sit still for 7 hours a day, we assume something wrong with them. Listen, America has a war against unapologetically African alpha male children. America hates black men with backbones. And the job of the public school is to take your son's backbone and give his ass a wishbone. What did you just say? I said the purpose of public school is to teach your son how to be as submissive as a woman. It's to teach your son that the white man is in control of Cleveland and it ain't a damn thing you can do about it except accept it. Why you think they give the black boy to the white woman? Not only break him, but break him with feminine energy to reinforce the weakness. Why are so many black boys dropping out in Cleveland? They don't want to learn? You damn right they want to learn. He didn't drop out because he hated school. He dropped out because he hated the way he was being treated. And what do all the boys do in Cleveland when they drop out? You see them standing on the corner with other dropouts, huddling around, talking and shooting the jazz. You know what they're doing? They're reinforcing each other's masculinity, because the only place their masculinity is valued is when they're with one another. Your son is being suffocated by too much female energy. He got his mama at home, he love you, but you female. He got grandma, he love grandma, female. Auntie and big sister, he love them, female. And then he go to school and he got to deal with white racist female. So the problem with the black boy is he's being suffocated by female energy. And the one thing I tell superintendents is if you want to help the black boys, get them a black male teacher. Where the black male teachers in Cleveland? And then you know what they'll do? They'll come and say, Dr. Umar, we got some black male teachers. We listen to you.